Hey everyone, this is Kashmir Henderson. I'm the Executive Administrator of Public Relations for Loving Our Children. And we also have Miss Cynthia Campbell, who is the founder and president of Loving Our Children. And today we're going to be discussing how to direct your child towards better behavior. This is a really broad topic, and there's so many different ways to do this, and there's so many different angles that you can come at this with. And I thought it was fitting that I interview Miss Cynthia Campbell about this because she is a mentor, a preacher, and a mother. So, Miss Campbell, would you like to start?
All right, thank you, Kashmir. And I just want to allude to what we've been doing all summer long is the AIM program. It's such a good program overall for families to grow together and to build their family values. And it has affirmations, instructions, and how to mature. But we're going to do some practical things today because many parents are like, okay, I have a book, I have a guide, but this is not helping me when the situation is live and raw right here in our homes.
Exactly.
So, the one stance I have, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I wanted to kind of make a basis of what you believe is good behavior, and how can you tell if a child is just misbehaving or if there might be something physical or emotional going on. Because I think it's important to start with that basis, so because a misbehavior might not actually be a child having negative behaviors. They might just be acting out on something else. So
Right. I agree with that. One thing is there's an iceberg concept. You can see the what's happening above, and it's the bad behavior or the behavior that you have taught your child that's not acceptable in your house. But below, you don't see what's going on. And what I listed was a couple of those. So let's look at a behavior and then what it's not always. Sometimes it's not what it seems. That's what I want to say. Excuse me. So the iceberg is here. Your child is acting angry, right? The child is acting angry, and they're and every time you tell them to do something, they're just, like that. And it's like the child may not be able to communicate what they're really feeling. They may be having insecurities. They may feel, like they're not being heard. Or sometimes they just don't want to do what you want them to do, but you have to redirect them as a parent. It is your job to not lose your cool, because that's what children try to bring you into their world, their chaos, so they can try to win. So what you do when a child is angry, like, I acknowledge your feelings, but say, Johnny, you told Johnny that it was his turn to take out the trash. Well, I am the one taking out the trash. Why can't Susie take out the trash? It seems like I always have to take out the trash. Johnny, right now, we're not talking about Susie. I told you to take out the trash. And if he wants to keep arguing about that after he does it anyway, he goes and takes out the trash because you're beaten. And Johnny's like, well, can I have cookies? Can I have this? No, because I didn't like the way that you talked to me and that you didn't want to listen to me. So no, you cannot have any. And if he throws a fit, whatever else, ignore him. A lot of parents want to go and react, or I'm gonna put you and threaten them and everything else. But if you have already set boundaries and the consequences to their actions, then they already know what's going to happen. I'll give you another real life. My children probably like, oh my gosh, my mom's gonna be telling our stories. But I'll give you a real life one. When we were in Germany, the kids decided they all wanted to act like they didn't know where they came from and who their mother was. So when they got home the next day, I had this manual for them, and it said Mama's Boot Camp. And so I sat them down. Even the youngest one, he couldn't write, but he could put an X on his thing. And I explained to them what was good behavior, what was bad behavior, and what the consequences was. And if they didn't clean up or do anything else that I had put on these things and they signed the contract, then they already knew what the consequences were. And they also knew what extra duty was. And I explained, and I let them talk back to me saying, okay, we understand. So we all signed this agreement. One person, we're not going to mention which child it was, one of the things on there, you must make up your bed and clean up your room. One child decided they didn't want to do it. I didn't yell at them the whole week. I didn't do anything like that, right? Because they were in elementary. This wasn't teenagers. These are elementary kids. So you can start your kids out really young to learn how, because what we are not authoritative. We are authority parents. And the difference is authoritative. You're going to do what I say no matter what, because I said so. And that doesn't teach a child to be able to have their own responsibility. So at the end of that week, I took, I said, we're going to get ice cream. But that one child, because they didn't make up their bed and everything, chose not to make up their bed. And because I had a little check mark on their thing, and I just went by every day. They didn't know if I checked or not, because they didn't have no knowledge of the checkboard. And then I was like, you can't go with us. We're all going to get ice cream because everyone did what they're supposed to do.
Mm.
And then they were like,
Mm.
wait, that's not fair. It's not fair that you don't listen to my rules.
Wow.
And then from that point on, everyone knew these are our chores, these are our things, and we do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. So you would say if you've already set a standard for the family and the children are aware of what that is, not to immediately react. Because now that you're saying that, I see that happening with me a lot. I'm immediately reacting. It's causing a snowball effect. Everyone's getting excited, and then it's the same pattern every single day.
Yes.
So by not immediately reacting, you're setting a standard for, okay, you can choose not to follow the rules, but there will be a consequence. It might not be right now, but there will be a consequence. And because of that happening at the end of the week rather than right then and there, it's showing I'm not sure how to explain it, like just the difference
Mm-hmm.
in your behavior, good behavior versus bad behavior.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow,
And
that's great. That is that is eye-opening, because honestly, I've been, with homeschooling and everything, the dynamic is a little bit different. So now not only am I trying to get my children to listen to like the regular home rules, but then also doing their studies on time and doing it the right way and everything has been a struggle for me. So I came up with a system kind of like similar, where I'm giving like if you're doing everything you're supposed to do, I'm giving them like great jobs, and then at the end of the week they get a prize.
mm-hmm.
It's working a little bit, but it took a long time. But there's still been kind of a fight. So I think I'm going to try to implement, what you just said, as not immediately reacting and just waiting and being like, you knew the rules, and now this is going to be the consequence if you don't follow the rules. I like that.
Yeah, and it really depends, because there's different parenting styles too. Some parents are passive, some parents, when we get into November month, we're going to be talking way more about that when we start talking about the kids' giftings and talents. But each type of parent will handle their child differently. But it doesn't matter, it really does matter how you parent your child. A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to be passive, or my parents were too hard on me, I'm going to let my kids do all this. We do those things. We compare how our parents raised us, and everything that we don't like, that's what we don't implement. But we don't really think about the things that they did right, that help you to mature, help you to have responsibility. So,
Right.
So a second generation, while we had our grandchild, when his mom was in the military, we got him at 2, and we put in places. And we, one thing that's also helps is that even though he was 2 years old, we had input in how his schedule went. We were just like, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. These are the things you're going to do. On Monday, we're doing math. On Tuesday, we're doing this. Wednesday, and if you're good, you're going to do this on this day. And then we made little signs for him because he was little, and let him post it on his board. So he knew what he was going to do. So he had input.
Right, right.
So, and I think one of the things that you created was the goals. And I love that in the AIM program, you created that. And I was like, oh, this is just really, really good. It's really, really good that you created that for them. So then kids can start learning their own goals.
Right, right. They have something to work towards and
Yes.
something to get excited about and to direct them to the right path.
Yep. So
So backing up to the good behavior, so we touched on when it's just, I guess, normal testing authority type, negative behavior. But how do you understand when a child is actually having negative behaviors because of like a psychological or emotional or an illness or something? How do you understand that, and then how do you deal with that?
Right. So sometimes, especially when children are having new situations, or I was talking to a couple of military families, those are good, their anxiety about moving and coming to a new place, and they may start being withdrawn or shy or wanting to stay mope around and stuff like that. So we know, in that case, we know that it was because of the change of environment. So we can go ahead and assure them and say, these are new things we're going to do and everything else. And we all have adjustment time. And you as a parent, because you already have that emotional intelligence can find which type of child you have. That's why it's so important to know if you have a child that's very expressive, you have, if you have a child who's a great perceiver, so then you could be able to navigate that way. A lot of times parents try to put the same standard on all their children. And of course there's rules that's for everyone in the family, but there's different communication skills that different children need. So in that one, with that example, you would have to, give them patience and say, look, this is what we're going to be doing in the new place. We're still going to be a family. And even if they had a good friend or something like that, I know nobody hardly ever writes letters anymore. Maybe you could FaceTime them, Zoom them, or, do a chat or be on the phone and have that time so they can have that transition, but help them process the emotions.
Right. Okay. And like, what are some specific ways that maybe you've helped them process, your children help, or you've helped other families help their children process emotions? Is there certain activities or I know, it can be a conversation. What's your experience?
Sometimes I use Play-Doh, and sometimes I have them draw, and then while they're drawing, we just start talking about things. And then when you don't force the kids to talk, and you just having that interaction with them, they'll start telling you things. And then you don't shut them down or say, no, oh my gosh, can't believe you feel that way. No, let them get it all out so they know how to process. And then say if Johnny was, you have a child that's a perfectionist, right? Johnny is a perfectionist, and he gets upset in the middle of his project and crumbles it up. I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's like, well, instead of saying, I can't do that, let's find a way that you can do that. Let's find different ways that we can get this done. And so it puts it back on the child to start thinking, how can I do this the way that I need to be done, and it's changing all the negative speech that comes out of their mouth into a positive action.
Right. And what if that's a really good example when a child gets frustrated? How do you, if that's escalated to like the 10th degree, how do you de-escalate it so that you can have that conversation?
My kids and my grandkids hate timeout. So it's like a generation, they absolutely like, don't do it, please don't do it. Yeah. And so I use the timeout. We have other disciplines, but when they're so frustrated, it's like, look, it's time for you to go sit down. And I know with one of the children that when I was running a daycare center, she would come and she would just have a total breakdown as soon as her parents left, or where the parents were in there. But when the parents left, she was fine. So then the mom's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, you are allowing her to take your authority and personal power away. And so if she wants to holler and cry, she's throwing a tantrum, instead of you like, oh my God, stop it. Just walk over her and go on about your business. She'd be like, oh, that did not get the response I wanted. But then there's some children, if they are always crying, always throwing tantrums and stuff like that, you may need to seek other help. Of course, prayer is always, but a lot of people try to stay away from mental health issues and different like that because they don't want the children labeled. But if you're having a child that's constantly in that panic and tantrum mode, and you are not able to handle it, and you don't discern that them being spoiled, then both of you may need to go talk to someone so they can learn how to handle their emotions. Some children are hyperly sensitive, hyperly emotional, and you have to give them outlets. So what happened with this little girl, we let her paint and everything, and then she started calming down. And then her mom came down to her level every time she left. I can't wait to see what you're going to paint. I can't wait to see what you're going to bring to me today when I get home. Once I get off of work, and I can't wait to hear what you're going to do today. Mommy's going out here and I'm going to share you. So her mom brought one thing that she did at work and made her like a little heart thing. And the girl was like, oh, okay. So that separation anxiety went away because she knew her mom was coming back and her mom was thinking about her during the day. And another thing we did too, in her lunch, her mom put little love notes in there. Not all the time, but just every once in a while. So then she would be excited to see that, mom or dad would put something in there just for her. And there were always words of encouragement. And this is a side note, and it's not wise to always just say your girls are beautiful and everything else. Tell them they're talented. Tell them that they are smart. Tell them all these other things. Our society is so big on beautiful, and then the girls get wrapped up into look how I look and not about who I am as a person. That was just a side note I had to throw in there.
Right. No, that's so important because our society is so big on how a woman looks. Still, I mean, it's been how many thousands of years and we're still wrapped up in the outside rather than the inside. And I think in almost every single culture. So that's a really important note. Um, let me just look at some of my notes I have here. So once you've identified the problem and you put things in place, like for example, you said the mother started engaging, in the arts with the child and leaving notes. How do you ensure that their behavior is going to continue? Do you think it automatically changes the dynamic between the two, or is there something else that you have to implement?
Wow. So that's a really good question. So while you may have relapse, but if you're consistent with your child, and as they grow, they will know this is the standard. And so they will go in there. But, just like we did as children, we deviated, and then we got into preteens and teens, and we all lost our minds. And so that so that's a whole nother level. And you have to but you still always have that same concept that your actions are your responsibility. Your reactions to what the rules are is still your responsibility and your consequences. And it makes you not be a bad parent, or how to be like, oh, you're all mean and everything else, because they now know if you continually or if you're consistent with them, then they know that is their action that's causing the negative impact that they're feeling. Not
Right.
you're a bad parent or you're a mean parent. You know
Right.
the rules and you broke the rules, so these are the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So the rule breaking was the consequence, not the bad parenting or the bad or mean parent, as the kids say.
Exactly. So when do you think, in all of these situations, when do you think it's appropriate to get other people involved? Not just like counseling or anything, but like teachers. Like when do you, if the behavior is going into school, when do you have those meetings with your teachers or other parents, their child's friends and people like that?
Right. For right now, I can't remember the guy's name, but he wrote "Have a Good Kid by Friday." I love that book. So I love him, and he put a scenario out. He has many good scenarios, and now a lot of them on YouTube. So I would go watch him as soon as we figure out what his name is. I know his name, and it's like I say it all the time, but it's gone. But anyway, in his book, he has a scenario that we're going to use a girl, since I keep using Johnny as a negative. Let me find a girl. So Sally or Susan didn't want to get up for school every day. And so instead of her mom kept like, get up, get up, get up, and rushing her, she just let her sleep in one day. Right.
Mm.
So then when she woke up, she said, I'm late for school, Mom. It's like, okay, get dressed. When you get done, I'll drive you to school. And the girl's like, okay, you didn't wake me up. And she's like, that's not I told you, set your alarm, get up. So then they got to school. And so the girl had to go in and say that she was late, but her mom had wrote a note to the principal and said, could you please bring Susan out of class someday to tell her about what the consequences of being late are? Thanks, love, Mom. To the principal. So that was a terrific spin on, okay, you're not just accountable to me, but if you have to be somewhere, at school or anywhere else, then it's your responsibility to get ready for that. It's not my responsibility. I've told you need to get up for school. I told you need to do this. This helps bring independence to your child. They may whine and all that kind of stuff like that, but they also see rules are to be followed, not just in the home, but in school, because it'll help them when they go in the workplace to take personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good.
That would be one way.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I sat down my daughter and my daughter-in-law one Easter, and I said, look, let me give you some strategies, because this is war. And they were looking at me like, what are you talking about? I said, this is war between you and the children. We love the children, but they will try everything in the world to get whatever they want, how they want, when they want it. So let me give you some strategies. They're going to think y'all are crazy at times, but let me give you some parenting strategies that will help. And I am so excited that when they use them, my grandkids will be like, what just happened? But people don't teach their children how to make sure they win the war against their grandkids, because we want to spoil them. I don't know if we want to get back at the kids or if we just, you know, we want to spoil them because it's just so cute. But it's strategies in parenting. We go and learn things for college, work, even with our pets, everything else. But we don't learn any strategies to deal with our children. And I want to reiterate, there's Ephesians 6:1-4 gives us great strategies how to deal with our children. So, and so when we take those principles into place, we can have giant killers instead of kids that are out being havoc and causing chaos to the world.
Do you have Ephesians 6:1-4 handy?
I have it, of course. Let me get it right quick here. You know, even Ephesians 5 tells us not to exasperate our children. You know, and a lot of times we as parents, we speak these things on our kids, and then they have those negative connotations, and they start having self-doubt. Because if we tell a child, "Oh, you're stupid," or "Why are you doing it that way?" or "You're going to end up like your crazy Uncle Bob," and stuff like that, the kids internalize that.
That was going to be my next question, actually.
Okay. Okay. So I just jumped ahead of you, huh? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So Ephesians 6 reads, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And you fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admiration of the Lord."
That part is so important to me, and I don't think it's stressed enough too. It says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger." Because so much we want, it's like kind of the same thing as saying that the woman should be subservient to the husband, but it's also that the husband should treat the wife as God, you know, loves the church. So yes, you want your children to obey you, listen to you, respect you, but you also have to not put them in situations where they're going to feel like they can't respect you as well.
Exactly. And that's, you know, a lot of parents like, "Well, my child is yelling. What are you doing with your child?" You know? So that scripture reminds me of an authoritative parent and not an authoritative, I can't say the other one, authoritarian. Because authoritarian, you're going to do what I say, and they're going to always down you and everything else. And then, you know, there's four styling of parenting, and we all need to examine ourselves as parents to see what we are, you know. So and then last one, I know I said permissive, but there's a last one that's called the neglectful parent. So sometimes children act up because their parents are neglectful. They don't spend any time with them. They may give them everything, but they spend no time with their child. The one that I think, and this is what I did with my children, was the authoritative parenting, and it has a let me remember what it was saying, a highly involved style that has great results for kids, right? These parents set high standards for their kids, but also give them lots of guidance to help achieve those standards. Parents are likely to use techniques like positive discipline instead of strict my way or the highway rules. Study shows that kids raised in this way often do well socially and academically. So we have to know that just like what that verse says, if we're always provoking our children to be angry, then it's our fault. The child is only going to react. It's just like if I had started attacking you, no matter how nice you are, eventually you're going to snap and be like, "Look at here, Cynthia, that's enough." You know? So it's the same thing with children. We are here to guide and direct them. We're here to instill values that will help them be good citizens, but we're also here to instill their identity. And a lot of times you hear kids will go back and lie, "Well, my parents were this or this and this, or they never let me express myself," and all these different things. So we have to find that happy balance.
All right. I do want to go back to the question of how do you help a child improve their behavior without sending the message that they're bad, that there's something, you know, intrinsically wrong with them.
Okay. I know we hit on the angry a little bit, but I picked out 4 different ones that I thought were really good for parents, because these are the ones I usually get questions on. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna start with the sensitive kid, and this is what you see. So remember we talked about the iceberg
Mm-hmm.
concept. So this is what you see. A sensitive kid cries over smallest things, gets sad when you leave, doesn't like being alone, can't watch super sad movies, right? So what is really going on? This child lacks self regulation. Child is worried about new things and needs help gradually being introduced to them. And the
Mm-hmm.
child has an inner fear that they are unable to verbalize. So they don't have those verbal skills to express how they are, and that's why they're so sensitive. And that's when you see those shouting, or those kids that will cry if you tell them to finish their homework, or they missed a question and they just go into this, whew, this uncontrollable, cry or a fit or whatever else. That's why. And so that's what's really going on. So then let's look at the angry kid. The angry kid yells and screams often, throws things and is destructive, crosses arms and shuts down, shouts, "I hate you," or "go away." This child, what's really going on with this child is the child is unable to recognize emotions. Child does not have appropriate coping strategies. Child needs to help with calming strategies. Child is worried about the unknown feelings. So right there, so when you know why they're doing these behaviors, then it's a little bit easier for you to go, I'm going to do a couple more. So then we can go back and talk about, some different instances. The perfectionist is he's nervous about breaking rules. This was me as a child, so that's why I laughed. Can't handle getting things wrong. Doesn't ever want to miss school. Scared of answering things wrong. Struggles with constructive criticism.
Mm.
Yeah. So what is really going on with this child? The child is struggling with negative thought patterns. Child needs help connecting thoughts and action. Child has trouble verbalizing their worries. Child thrives on doing things the right way.
Wow.
And we have more, but we're going to leave that. No, I want to do the overexcited child. No,
Good.
okay. Okay, I'm going to do two more, okay? I'm going to do the shy child and the overexcited child, okay? So the shy child hides behind your legs, scared of new people, fearful of change, doesn't like going new places, prefers playing with familiar friends. So what's really going on with this child? The child is unable to verbalize big worries and fears. Child is cautious of anything new and want to understand the situation fully. Child needs help making plans for new adventures. And then the overexcited child, because I had one like this, becomes hyper when guests come over, says inappropriate things around others, makes jokes at inappropriate times, jumps on the furniture, plays rough with others. So what is really going on with this child? Child is unable to detect their inner engine. So child needs help regulating their excitement. Child lacks calming strategies for building anticipation.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So when you start looking at it and you look at the iceberg way, then now you can say, oh, okay, this is why my child is doing this. And these are the different things that's going on with them. Then you'll be able to deal with them because each child is different. You can have one child that say, yay, I can't wait to move, like a new adventure. Another one's like, oh my gosh, my world is over. Another one's like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm be good anyway. And you think that one that says I'm going to be good anyway is all right. But that one is the one that's having the most problems because they're not expressing anything.
Right. Wow. That makes me think of my daughter because, she's 7, and we always thought when she was around 3 or 4 that she was just shy. But she didn't have a problem playing with others. She just didn't talk much. So I feel like she was more not shy, but just more observant and careful because she didn't freak out when she went to new places and we were always going to new places and seeing new things. It was just that she just would just be a little more quiet in new situations. And I think she's a little more sensitive, that's how I was when I was definitely the sensitive child. And I had a hard time expressing, what was going on inside me and what I needed to, I felt was wrong or what I needed to get out. So that's very enlightening.
So while we're building our curriculum and AIM and all these other different things, happy and emotionals and stuff like that, we really want to give you life examples, and that's why we're here today, because you can read a book, you can go through a training, but if you don't hear struggles and different things we went through, I had one child, no matter what punishment, what ultimatum you gave them, it worked on the other ones, it didn't work on that one. And then I had to find the thing they loved to be, to, like I said, it was a war, right? So I had to find the thing, my strategy was to find the thing that he loved, to give him what he needed so he could be directed in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And teenage years are a completely different thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
That would be for a whole nother session, because but right now, my stance for the year and my stance on everything that we're going to be doing is off of Frederick Douglass, his quote: "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men."
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be our stance for the rest of the for the duration of Loving Our Children's year and upcoming different things we're going to be doing. We are going to build strong children. We have enough brokenness out here. We have enough people not knowing who they are. We're even going to go back all the way to the law first mentioned in the Bible, where we are to rule them and have dominion, express, create, and have a good and loving life. We are to live life more abundantly.
Mm-hmm.
That is our God-given mandate, is for us to live life more abundantly. But if we don't know who we are, if our children don't know who they are, they're going to go in and discover who someone else says they are.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to all the different things that we're going to create. And Kashmir is like a master of creations. So she's really quiet most of the time, but the ideas that come out of her head, I'd be like, whoa, okay. So I'm looking forward to the different things that we're going to be creating together, and the rest of our Loving Our Children staff that we're growing. And I'm amazed at all of them in their creativity and their love for the children and for this vision.
I think that's a reflection of our leadership, definitely giving us the room to be creative and follow what God is telling us to do. So I know we all appreciate that.
Thank you.
But that's all the questions that I have today for this topic. Was there anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I'm just, when the book comes out in a couple of weeks, I need you guys to go by Aiming Your Children Like Arrows and all the other things that she's going to be writing. We have a whole series, Mommy and Me, and all these different things about parenting. It's going to be an extraordinary year. A lot of them are going to be ebooks, because it's hard to get hard copy books and things right now. But be mindful, be creative with your children, be loving, but make sure that they know that you're the one that's in charge. Don't let them take your personal power away.
Amen. Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today. Please go to www.lovingourchildreninc.org to learn more. We also have uploaded all of our past interviews to our YouTube channel, Loving Our Children Inc., so you can check them out there, and stay tuned every Friday for some great information on how to help your children grow and how to be great parents and mentors. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.